Hey, thanks for joining me. I'm Dr. Stuart R. Miller, and I want to talk with you today about something that's probably been happening to you every single night without you even realizing it. Your brain is actually losing cells. Yeah, I know that sounds pretty alarming when you first hear it, but stick with me here because the story is way more complicated and, honestly, more interesting than it sounds on the surface. So, let's start with the obvious question that's probably on your mind right now. If my brain is losing cells every night, shouldn't I be getting dumber or forgetting more stuff? And that's exactly what I thought too when I first started looking into this research. But the answer is actually no, not necessarily. And that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating to me as a neuroscientist. You see, our brains are doing something absolutely wild while we sleep. It's like a maintenance crew that comes in after hours, cleans up the mess, reorganizes things, and sometimes, and this is the key part, it gets rid of stuff that isn't working anymore. It's not random destruction. It's not your brain degrading. It's actually a really sophisticated cleaning process that your body has figured out over millions of years of evolution. Let me back up and give you the bigger picture here. Your brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons. That's 86 billion individual cells that are constantly firing, connecting, communicating with each other. It's the most complex structure in the known universe, as far as we can tell. And every single day, your brain is working overtime. You're learning things, you're forming memories, you're processing emotions, you're making decisions. All of that takes energy and creates a lot of metabolic byproducts. Think of it like your brain is a factory that never shuts down. And factories create waste. During the day, when you're awake and active, your brain is focused on doing its job, keeping you conscious, aware, responsive to the world around you. It's not really in cleanup mode. But when you fall asleep, something remarkable happens. Your brain actually shrinks. Not permanently, but temporarily. Your neurons actually reduce in size by about 60%. When that happens, the spaces between your neurons, we call these spaces the interstitial space, they expand. And suddenly there's more room in there for fluid to flow through. This is where it gets really clever. Your brain has this system called the glymphatic system. And I know that's a weird name, but basically it's your brain's version of a sewage system. Cerebrospinal fluid starts flowing through your brain much more effectively when you sleep because of that space that opens up. And that fluid is carrying away all the junk that accumulated during the day. We're talking about proteins that misfolded, dead cells that need to be cleared away, metabolic waste products. All of that gets flushed out. But here's where the cell loss comes in. And this is really important to understand. Along with all that waste, your brain is also getting rid of some of the connections between neurons. These connections are called synapses. Over the course of a day, your brain strengthens some synapses and weakens others. When you learn something new, you're creating stronger connections. When you practice something, you're reinforcing those pathways. But you also create a lot of weak, unnecessary connections. They're just noise in the system. At night, your brain goes through and it prunes those weak connections. It basically says, we don't need that one. It's like your brain is editing itself. And when synapses are pruned away, the little dendritic spines, these are like the branches where connections happen, they can actually be lost entirely. So in a sense, yes, you are losing cells or parts of cells every night. But it's actually a healthy, necessary process. Think of it this way. Imagine you're building a city. During the day, you're putting up new buildings, creating new roads, establishing new connections. But some of those roads don't make sense. Some of those buildings are in the wrong place. Some connections are redundant or inefficient. At night, the city does some planning. It tears down the buildings that don't work. It removes the roads that don't lead anywhere useful. And it reorganizes itself to be more efficient. That's what your brain is doing. Now, I want to be really clear about something here, because this is where people sometimes get confused. This process of synaptic pruning, this loss of connections, it's most dramatic in children and adolescents. Your teenage brain is going through massive pruning. This is actually crucial for healthy development. Teenagers' brains are reorganizing themselves, getting rid of the connections they don't need, strengthening the ones they do. This is why teenagers can sometimes seem kind of odd. Their brains are literally rewiring themselves. In adults, the pruning continues, but it's more subtle. We're not losing massive numbers of neurons. We're refining our neural networks. We're cleaning up the weak connections and keeping the strong ones. And the strength of a connection, that matters more than the number of connections. A brain with fewer, but stronger, more efficient connections is actually better than a brain with a bunch of weak, scattered connections. So why did we evolve to do this? Why not just keep all the connections? Well, that would be incredibly inefficient. Your brain uses about 20% of your body's energy, and that's just for the basic operation. Every synapse that exists requires energy to maintain. Every connection you have is a cost. If you're keeping around thousands of weak, unnecessary connections, you're wasting a lot of energy that you could be using for something else. Natural selection would have gotten rid of that pretty quickly. Plus, and this is important, keeping unnecessary connections around is actually harmful to your brain function. It creates noise in the system. Imagine trying to listen to someone speak when there's static blaring in the background. Your brain is the same way. If you have too many weak connections, it's harder to remember things, harder to think clearly, harder to concentrate. By getting rid of that noise, your brain actually works better. And here's something else that's really cool. The pruning that happens at night isn't random. Your brain is smart about which connections to get rid of. The connections that are related to memories you formed during the day, to skills you practiced, to things that are important to you, those get preserved and actually strengthened. The random connections, the noise, the stuff that doesn't matter, that's what gets pruned away. Your brain is selectively keeping what's important and discarding what isn't. This is one of the reasons why sleep is so critical for learning and memory. People sometimes think that learning happens when you're awake, and that sleep is just downtime. But that's not quite right. Learning starts when you're awake. You take in information, you practice a skill, you have an experience. But the actual consolidation of that learning, the making of that memory permanent and integrated into your knowledge base, that happens mostly during sleep. That's when your brain is strengthening the connections that matter and pruning away the noise. If you don't sleep well, or if you don't get enough sleep, this whole process gets compromised. Your brain can't effectively prune the weak connections. That noise stays in your system. The important connections don't get properly strengthened, and over time, that accumulates. You start having difficulty concentrating. Your memory suffers. You become more emotionally reactive, because the emotional centers of your brain aren't being properly organized. You're more susceptible to depression and anxiety. There's also research showing that when you don't sleep well, the waste products that should be getting flushed out during that glymphatic system process, they start accumulating in your brain. We're talking about proteins like beta amyloid and tau proteins. These are the same proteins that accumulate in Alzheimer's disease. So chronic sleep deprivation might actually increase your risk for neurodegenerative diseases down the road. And that's pretty sobering when you think about it. But here's the good news. Your brain is remarkably resilient. If you've had a few bad nights, that's okay. Your brain can catch up. If you get back to regular, good quality sleep, the pruning process normalizes and your brain recovers. The key is consistency. Getting good sleep night after night is what matters. Now, when I say good sleep, I don't just mean 8 hours. Although, yeah, most adults need somewhere between 7 and 9 hours. But I also mean quality sleep. You need to be going through the sleep cycles properly. You need to be getting enough slow-wave sleep. That's the deep sleep where a lot of this brain reorganization happens. You need to be getting enough REM sleep. That's the stage where a lot of memory consolidation happens. You need to be sleeping in an environment that's dark, cool, and quiet. You need to not be waking up constantly. There are a lot of things that disrupt sleep quality. Stress, obviously. Alcohol. A lot of people think alcohol helps them sleep, but it actually disrupts sleep architecture. If you're drinking every night, you're not getting good quality sleep. Caffeine, too. If you're having caffeine late in the day, it's going to stay in your system and make it harder to fall asleep or stay asleep. Screen time before bed, the blue light from screens, that's going to mess with your circadian rhythm and make it harder to fall asleep. Then there's sleep apnea, which is super common and often undiagnosed. If you're stopping breathing multiple times throughout the night, and you might not even realize it's happening, your brain isn't going through the full sleep cycles. You're not getting the restorative benefits. You're waking up constantly, even if you're not fully conscious of it. And over time, that's really damaging. There's also the issue of how we live in modern society. We're designed to be awake during the day and asleep at night, right? That's our circadian rhythm. It's been that way for our entire evolutionary history. But now, a lot of us are working late, we're on our phones until midnight, we're stressing about things, we're drinking coffee at 3 p.m. We're doing everything we can to mess with our natural sleep-wake cycle. And then we wonder why we're tired and having trouble concentrating. So what can you do about this? Well, first, understand that sleep is not a luxury. It's not something you can skimp on and catch up on later. It's a biological necessity. Your brain needs it. Not just to feel rested, but to actually maintain and improve your brain function. If you're sleep-deprived, you're literally running your brain at reduced capacity. Try to maintain a regular sleep schedule. Go to bed at the same time most nights. Wake up at the same time most mornings. Yeah, I know that's hard with modern life and different schedules. But your brain really does better when there's consistency. It helps regulate your circadian rhythm. Make your bedroom a sleep-friendly environment. Keep it cool. Most people sleep better in a cooler room, around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Keep it dark. If light is coming in, use blackout curtains or an eye mask. And keep it quiet. If you can't eliminate noise, white noise or earplugs can help. Avoid stimulants late in the day. That means no caffeine after 2 p.m. or so, depending on your individual sensitivity. And be careful with alcohol. It might make you sleepy initially, but it's going to disrupt your sleep quality during the night. Get exercise, but not too close to bedtime. Exercise is great for sleep, but if you exercise hard within a few hours of bedtime, it can be too stimulating. Try to exercise earlier in the day. Try to reduce stress. I know that's easier said than done, but chronic stress is brutal for sleep quality. Whether that's meditation, exercise, talking to someone, therapy, journaling, whatever helps you process and reduce stress, that's an investment in your sleep and your brain health. And if you're having persistent sleep problems, like you're lying awake for hours, you're waking up constantly, you're sleeping but still feeling exhausted, talk to a doctor. There might be something going on. Sleep disorders are really common, and they're also really treatable once you know what's happening. Here's the bottom line. Yes, your brain is losing cells every night. But that's actually a good thing. It's a sign that your brain is doing its job, cleaning itself, organizing itself, getting rid of the stuff that's not serving you. What you need to do is make sure that this process can happen effectively. That means prioritizing sleep, getting enough of it, getting good quality sleep, and supporting your brain health in all the other ways you can. Because your brain isn't just an abstract thing. It's the physical substrate of your thoughts, your memories, your personality, your dreams. It's what makes you who you are. And if you're not taking care of it through sleep and good sleep practices, you're shortchanging yourself. You're limiting your potential. You're making it harder for yourself to be your best. So tonight, when you go to bed, remember this. Your brain isn't shutting down. It's not taking a break. It's shifting into a different mode of operation. It's cleaning house. It's strengthening the memories that matter. It's getting rid of the mental clutter. It's preparing you for tomorrow. That's actually pretty amazing when you think about it. Your brain is taking care of itself while you sleep. And all you have to do is let it. Get to bed at a reasonable hour. Put the phone away. Turn off the lights. And let your brain do what it's been doing for millions of years. Let it maintain itself. Let it heal. Let it grow stronger. I'm Dr. Stuart R. Miller, and I hope this has given you a better understanding of what's really happening when you sleep. Thanks for listening, and take care of that brain of yours.